y'all, it's Natalie, and today it's Technique Tuesday for a cherry on top, and our focus is on embossing this month. So I'm working in a travel album, and I have this sand castle cut file. I cut it twice and put a thick line on the side so I can cut holes in it to add to my album. And first I'm going to do dry embossing, which is with that embossing folder that you see right there. That's called Dotty Circles. And I have this craft paper, and I'm going to spritz it with water on the front and back, just very lightly, so that it doesn't crack when I run it through my Sizzix Big Shot. That's just like a little tip or trick that I like to use to keep the paper from ripping when it's being smushed together in the embossing folder. And it gives you this really nice embossed dotted look that I'm going to use to back that cut file I showed you. So sorry about that. I am going to use my Nuvo adhesive because it's really strong. And the craft paper alone is, it tends to not want to hold glue really well. And then add the texture to that, and it definitely needs a good strong adhesive. So Nuvo adhesive is my go-to. It will do all the things. Now I'm not sticking down the little door of the sandcastle because I want to go in and add another type of embossing to this little interactive element. And so I'm leaving that up so I can back it with a little something different. We're going to ignore the fact that I have just laid down both of these cut files with the rectangle piece on the same side, even after I mirrored them so that they would face one another. I'll fix that off camera later when I finally realize it. But I am going to use this dotted craft to back most of the pieces. And now I'm going to use a heat embossing ink pad to make my own pattern cardstock. So I rub the ink pad onto this white cardstock, and then I use this really great Wow embossing powder. This one is called Sea Flower, but it's a really beautiful turquoise, and it has like some fun extra elements of like silver and white in it. And I'm going to melt that with my heat gun. Let your heat gun warm up for a few seconds before you start melting the paper, but you can watch and see that it gives this really lovely texture. But I am going to do 2 layers. So I use that same embossing pad, run it over again, and use that same powder to layer it up. And it really gives it a really nice texture and shine once you add the second layer to the paper. And it's so satisfying to watch it melt. So I definitely think I kept all of that in the video here so you can watch it. So this is another way to heat emboss, or to emboss, is to do heat embossing with embossing powder. And it comes in all different colors, different textures. They have glitter ones. It's a really great way to add glitter to your layout without being afraid that it's going to fall off in your page protector. I use it all the time. I love it a lot. So there is the really fun, shiny outcome of that heat embossing. So I'm going to use that as another pattern paper, and I'm using it for the doors and the little windows and the top of the turret of the middle of the sandcastle. So just to add a little color to this layout. And the heat embossing gun also doubles to stick down your items when you need something heavy to sit on top of them. So make sure to check out all the still shots. It's on the blog over at A Cherry on Top today. And I hope you are inspired by different ways to emboss on a scrapbook page. You could create this cut file to go on a scrapbook page, but mine is going to go in a mini album between 2 large photos. You'll see here in a moment, I'll show you. But I'm just, using heavy items sitting here on my desk to adhere down these windows and doors to the sandcastle. And then soon I realized that I have they're both facing the wrong direction. So I recut one, and you can see I fixed it up. So now they'll mirror one another, and I can put them back to back, and they'll be nice and beautiful on either side when you flip them in the album. You'll see here in a minute. So I'm just backing these large photos on some white cardstock, and then I'm adding little die cut ephemera to the places where your hand would naturally fall to turn the page, so that the reader does not get fingerprints onto the photo. And then I am going to use that awesome word there to add across the bottom of that large photo. You know, it's not really going to be covering anything up because it's just a close-up picture of the sandcastle that we made. So I just thought that was a fun element to add to the negative space of the photo. So I pulled out a few die cuts and I go with the little tag there. So I'm going to just stick that down. Sometimes I sew them down, but the glue is sticky enough, or the tape is sticky enough, that it will be fine as long as nobody's like really ripping at the page. So again, like I said, that craft it doesn't want to hold a lot of glue on a good day. And so since I'm textured it with the embossing folder, I definitely want to add a lot of adhesive when I go to glue both of those craft sandcastles together. So you'll see me use my ATG gun as well as the liquid adhesive also. And yeah, so there's the glue or the tape on it, and then I go in and add a little bit of glue as well, just because we don't want it coming apart. But I love mini albums for this reason. So you can feel like you can add like really fun interactive elements, but you know, you really wouldn't do this in a 12 by 12. I mean, you could do this in a 12 by 12 album, but it would just be more difficult. So this is one reason why I do most of our vacation albums in a smaller album and add the fun interactive bits. I'm just trimming up a little bit of the extra that is outside of all of the cut file lines and making it look as nice as I can. And then off screen, I will poke the holes, punch the holes in the photos and in the large part of that cut file. They are punched, and now I'm just showing you. I'm going to go ahead and place them in my album, and so you can see the sandwich that they kind of create together and how they look. And there it is. So I'm really happy with how that turned out, just as I imagined, and I hope you guys are inspired. Let me know if you have any questions down below, and yeah, go check it out in the gallery as well. Bye, y'all.